Greetings and happy holidays to all from Caribbean Sankofa and the University of Florida at Gainesville. As we continue to document the history, traditions, and cultures of West Indians who went to Panama during the construction era of the canal, we welcome you to our very first YouTube presentation. We are thrilled to have this medium where we can continue to document and share more of the life of West Indians living in the Panama and the Canal Zone. Today's segment will be on West Indian cuisine, better known in Panama as comida antillana. We bring to you two very special recipes near and dear to every West Indian heart and home. Codfish and, oh yes, fruitcake. Wonderful aroma of fruitcake that brings in the spirit of the holiday season year after year. And more importantly, the memories, the precious memories of community life, laughter, giving, love, all in one slice of fruitcake. As my mom used to say, no two cooks are alike, and no recipes are the same. But what is consistent in these food preparations is love and creativity. So we thank you for this opportunity to bring to you these two very special recipes near and dear to every West Indian Panamanian's heart. More importantly, we hope that it will entice you to share your family history, your treasures. We are a people of history and tremendous, tremendous stories. So we thank you. We thank the university for allowing this medium that we may be able to preserve our history so that future generations will have it. So without further ado, I want to say welcome, relax, and I'd like to introduce my colleague, Miss Carmen Eccles. Thank you.
I am Carmen Grimes Eccles, one of the directors at Caribbean Sankofa. A warm welcome and thanks for joining our oral history preservation series, this time featuring Panama Caribbean recipes. Every single time our number one son Jonathan eats codfish stew, he would say,
"Why do I love codfish? I think Wentworth Eccles codfish is the best. Gets no better. The process, got to do the hunks of codfish first. Then you got to simmer everything. Put the codfish on top so this flavor just soaks through the bottom. I need to know how to do it. That's why we need the tutorial. We need it step by step. What do we need to do? Eccles, we need it. Can we get it done? How many times we got to ask for it? All right, the flavors are succulent, immaculate. It's no better. I go other places asking for saltfish. Nobody compares.
but somehow he is not usually around when his dad makes the codfish stew, so we decided to make a video of the steps involved. At one of our monthly meetings with the University of Florida while discussing this blend event and what to present, I offered that I already had a family video and would just go ahead and share the steps involved. Preface. My grandparents are from Barbados, Grenada, Jamaica, and Cuba, and codfish was a favorite in all Caribbean cuisine. This delicacy is enjoyed internationally in Angola, Brazil, Canada, Gabon, Italy, Korea, Malaysia, Nigeria, Portugal, United Kingdom, and Vietnam, to name a few. A bit of trivia on codfish. Any dried fish could be classified as salt cod. Pollock, snapper, and shark are some. There are many names for codfish such as saltfish, bacalao, bacala, bulljol, and dried fish. I remember codfish was always stored loose in wooden boxes, and that option is still available. Nowadays, codfish is available packaged in plastic bags, hermetically sealed, factory direct by specific weight, or packaged at the store by arbitrary weight. We had the opportunity to visit a town in South Trinidad to see fish piled very high on a table to be shipped to Venezuela. The fish was very meaty and covered with copious amounts of salt, a process known as salt curing. Along with the sun, the moisture in the salted fish will dry out to preserve the fish for longer storage. Finally, I am happy to share Wentworth's codfish recipe with you. Our number one daughter, Ava, who has a passion for food, will narrate the steps for us. Enjoy the presentation.
Hi, my name is Ava Hollingsworth, better known to my family as Ava Janine. As Carmen's daughter, it is my pleasure to narrate for you today and to also share my codfish experience with you. My father was a master at making codfish. Every Saturday morning, codfish was a breakfast staple at our table. It never tasted the same way every time, which is not always a bad thing, but it was always delicious. I realized over the years the most important step was to put the codfish on top of the vegetables to let the flavor soak through the bottom. When I tried my hand at it, let's just say I'll leave it to the expert. But now that we have the recipe, I guarantee that we'll be passing it down for years to come. Are you ready to cook? Let's get started. For this recipe, I will be using the packaged codfish of 1 pound weight. First, rinse the meat to remove some of the loose salt. Place meat in a pot, filling with water about 3/4 high. Bring to a boil for about 30 to 45 minutes. While boiling, keep an eye on your fire and make sure it is not too high. We don't want to be burned in the process. Cooking is fun. At about the 30-minute mark, begin to check your meat for softness as you want your fish to be tender when eaten. After that, we'll strain the water, taste your fish, this time checking the salt level. If fish is too salty, boil for 10 minutes more, this time only filling with half a pot of fresh water. Continue to taste as it boils. You don't want your fish too bland since you might have to add salt. A bit of salty taste is quite nice. Strain off your water, transfer your fish to a cutting board, and flake the fish using a small knife. As you are cutting, you will notice the fish start to fall apart, creating chunks. You want to keep these chunks so when it's time to eat, you have a hefty fork full of codfish and vegetables. Now let's begin to prep our vegetables. Onions, peppers, garlic, cilantro, culantro, ginger, tomatoes, cabbage, and carrots. All ingredients are optional. Here's your opportunity to really be creative with your vegetable choices. Chop all veggies to your preference, either fine or rough chop, making sure all of your cuts are pretty uniform. Your meat is ready. Your vegetables are cut. Now for the fun part, putting everything together. Using your same codfish pot, rinse clean. Place your vegetables in the bottom of the pot. Spread your codfish on top of the veggies. Add oil, about 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of your favorite oil. Cover the pot, turn the stove to a low temperature and simmer for 30 minutes to allow the vegetable cells to slowly release water into the oil. This will create a bit of a gravy or sauce idea. Open the pot cover to check that oil is bubbling and that some steam is visible. Take a fork or your favorite utensil and thoroughly mix the vegetables and codfish together. Your codfish stew is ready for consumption by itself or can be perfectly paired with rice, roti, ground provisions, grits, kuku, and of course fried dough called bakes. Now to top everything off, you want to make sure you add your pepper sauce. Mix it in, spread it around, enjoy. You've done a great job. Enjoy the repast.
Thanks to our children, extended family, and friends for helping with this fun project. And thanks for your support in preserving memories. Before we sign off, for this segment, I have to introduce the chef, and here he is.
I'm Wentworth Eccles, also known by friends and family as the Codfish Man. Born in Trinidad and Tobago, but after learning about the history of the Panama Canal, I'm claiming Pedro Miguel as my town, since the streets of TNT intersect in that Canal Zone town. So give the recipe a try, and if you need additional help in preparing it, know that you can never really mess it up. It will be your own creation from the Codfish man himself. Enjoy the taste.
Welcome to a taste of Caribbean Christmas. My name is Casma Henlon, and I'm a descendant of Jamaicans. Our Christmas celebrations would not be the same without Jamaican fruit cake, also known as Jamaican rum or black cake. No decent household would open its doors to celebrate without it. It's a tradition born in the islands and taken with people of Caribbean descent wherever they've settled. How did that come about? Colonists from Britain brought to the islands their traditional plum pudding, a combination of plums, raisins, and other fruits marinated in brandy and brown sugar and steamed into a pudding. Jamaicans living under British rule took the basic plum pudding and created a cake which has become the traditional Jamaican Christmas cake. It was a natural adaptation because of the sugar and rum industries existing in Jamaica. Fruits such as raisins, prunes, currants, and citron peels, among others, are grounded and soaked mainly in rum for months prior to baking the cakes. No two fruit or rum cakes are alike. It depends on what is used to soak the fruit, whether it's brandy, port wine, or other liquors, but it should always include rum. Also, the choice of fruit for the grind differs according to the individual baker's taste. Ingredients vary by recipes and by family traditions. Family recipes are treasured, passed on within the family, and carefully protected. To get my mother's recipe, for example, I actually followed her every move as she baked one year, asking questions, taking notes, and checking for actual measurements. You see, she sifted, poured, and added ingredients without measuring in the traditional sense. She told me that you had to feel the weight of the bag of flour in your arms. Traditionally, a gift of a fruitcake is a big deal. It implies a treasured relationship because its production is not only costly, but labor intensive. The reward is beyond delicious, an experience in itself. What I'll share with you is just a snippet of the process for grinding the fruit for a Christmas fruitcake, Jamaican style, using a traditional manual meat grinder. To get flavorful ground fruit for your cake, it's important to soak the ground fruit for at least 2 weeks. The optimum minimum time for me is 2 months. Longer is better, in my opinion. My fruit usually soaks for a year. As soon as I use fruit to bake, I try to replace it with newly grounded fruit. As well, fruit may be ground in any number of ways, but I prefer grinding with a manual meat grinder. It's the way that my mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother ground the fruit, and there is something about following family traditions to preserve a connection that somehow enhances the fruitcake experience. I hope that by sharing this, you'll gain an appreciation for what it takes to produce this Caribbean delicacy, and that it will open discussions of sharing our culture among your circle of relatives and friends. The ingredients needed for my fruit grind are raisins, pitted prunes, holiday mixed fruits, red and green candied cherries, orange and lemon citron peels, candied pineapple, sugar-coated ginger, no syrup, a jar of minced meat, and rum of choice. Of course, the selection of fruits depends on individual taste. The ground fruit can be soaked in a combination of brandy, liquor, and rum, and should always include rum. I use a glass jar with a clamped lid to ensure a tight seal. After placing the ground fruit in the jar and adding minced meat and rum, I place the jar in a dry, dark place, such as the pantry, where it sits and soaks until I'm ready to bake the cakes. Jars are usually found online in your favorite supermarket or in a pottery store. Before grinding the fruit, I make sure that all prunes are pitted, seeds removed. I combine all the fruits and grind using a manual meat grinder fitted with a small grinding plate. Manual meat grinders can be found online in supermercados or bodegas, as well as other stores that carry kitchen utensils. There are other methods to grind fruit, but this is my preferred method. After grinding, the fruit mixture will be sticky and dense. It's now ready to be soaked. Place the mixture in a glass jar with a tight fitting or clamped lid. Avoid filling the jar all the way to the top, as there are still a couple ingredients to be added. Add a jar of minced meat and mix it into the fruit well with a wooden spoon to avoid breaking the jar. Minced meat is a mixture of fruits and tart flavors that adds moisture to the ground fruit mixture. It's sold under many brand names and can be found on the baking aisle in your grocery store. The most important step of the process is the addition of rum to the fruit mixture in the jar. At this point, add all liquors as desired and mix the fruit in the jar well with a wooden spoon. Close the lid tightly or clamp shut. Place the jar on a shelf in your pantry or a dark, dry place. Store until ready to bake. We now gather all the ingredients for the cake. The usual combination of wet and dry ingredients sets the stage for the fruit to come next. Preparing the pans for the batter is very important. Grease the pans with shortening. Line the pans with wax paper and trim with scissors at the top of the pans. Grease, wax paper, and dust with flour. This provides easier release of the cake after baking. Combine wet and dry ingredients and the ground fruit. A traditional way to test whether or not the batter is ready to be poured into the baking pans is to get the wooden spoon used to mix the batter to stand in the bowl. If it stands, the batter is ready. Fill pans no more than half full. Bake in an oven with a pan of water on the bottom shelf to create a steamy environment during baking. The finished product is a dark cake, moist and sweet. Enjoy. This has been an overview of preparing the fruit and baking the Jamaican fruit or rum cake. There are many recipes online with helpful tips for a tasty fruit cake, so measurements of ingredients, other options, and specifics are readily available. The purpose of this demonstration is to acquaint viewers with some of the rich traditions of the Caribbean culture as it relates to food and celebrations. The creation and use of the Jamaican fruitcake is still a strong, binding example of such traditions. Descendants will be richly rewarded to learn of and possibly begin practicing the joy of baking fruitcakes for the holidays. If you're not a descendant, you'll simply enjoy sharing in a tasty tradition. Thank you for looking at this webinar.
Thank you to Fran, Carmen, Casma, and Sankofa for those wonderful videos. My name is Betsy Bemis, and I'm the Associate Curator of the Panama Canal Museum Collection at the University of Florida. I have the pleasure of working with Sankofa to preserve and share the oral history interviews that they're conducting. Many of the interviews that they have done include a discussion of food and the important place that it held in many households in the community and the link that it maintains to the past for current and future generations. I wanted to share a few examples for you to enjoy that demonstrate the different ways that we are documenting this history. In this first example with Marva Gordon, she also shared some beautiful family photographs with us that we wanted to highlight as you listen to an excerpt from her interview.
My grandmother cooked the regular rice and peas every Sunday and, different meats, steak, chicken, oxtails, pigtails, whatever. And so I grew up learning that, The thing about it is that I learned about food, different foods when I came to Cologne. First, in Silver City, I learned to make banana fritters, codfish fritters, rice and peas, curry chicken in gravy. I learned those things in Silver City. But there is like a special dish that my grandmother never cooked. And I learned that dish at my friends in Cologne, and that was one pot. I learned it in Cologne from my friends. And what it is, you start out with you have your pigtail, and you start cooking it. And then you cook your codfish on the side, and then you strip your codfish, and then you get some sausages and cut it up, and then you throw everybody in that one pot that the pigtails have cooked in, and you also include coconut milk in it. And then you use the Chinese dry shrimp, and you throw that into, and then you throw in rice. So sometimes it becomes, and all the seasonings, red pepper, green pepper, parsley, scallions, onions, and you pour all that in one pot. Elsa Arthur, she showed me how to cook one pot. She went to Christ Church with me. I was 10 and she was 8.
Dorothy Martin was interviewed by her daughter, Celia Thompson, and in this clip, you can hear the value of food to the two generations. Many of the interviews can be accessed both as an audio clip and as a video.
I love to cook. I love to make empanada.
And what kind of food do you cook?
All kind of food.
What's your favorite dish to cook?
Empanada de todo.
Pate?
Yes.
How about that stew, pig feet, and lima beans?
Very much so.
Is that how you caught your husband, you told me?
Exactly.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. No, I made it one time, and from the time I made it, I loved it. Rice, peas with lima beans.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Mm-hmm. We used to cook rice and peas, turkey, salad, fried plantain. And we used to have like turkey, like with blood chickens also, different,
I'm getting a little bit hungry. So tell me about some of those Jamaican and Bajan food. I want to eat something Bajan.
Bajan?
What is a Bajan good meal I could eat right now?
I know about bakes.
Bakes? You can make bakes?
No, I make it, yeah. You mean like food like, let me see now, cuckoo.
You can make some cuckoo right now?
Not right now. I can make cuckoo my own way. Cuckoo, they used to have cuckoo. And next thing they used to have codfish and ground food.
Oh,
that's
so
that's the real.
I remember growing up, Christmas time, we used to have a lot of decorations and stuff. But when we had those decorations, is it that we celebrated it just us, or was it a community thing?
A community thing.
Oh.
And for the children also.
So all the Blacks celebrated all the Christmas with whatever we had. We had the lights, the food, and the camaraderie. Outstanding. And where did we celebrate those holidays? We celebrated it like you go from house to house, or was it just everybody gather at their own home? How did y'all do it? in Paraíso.
We used to do it at our home, and sometimes some of the neighbors come from house to house. We used to have a good time.
So like they'll come from their house to your house, and then they go from your house to another house, and so on.
In those times.
James Grives used our online written narrative form. That form is available for anyone that would like to fill it out. Here you can see 2 of the questions related to food and his responses. We also have a picture of James as a young man found in his high school yearbook. We have many yearbooks that have been digitized and are available online for anyone in the world to look at. Here you can find them through our collections website, and you can see the link here below his photo. In Lancelot Llewellyn's interview, he discusses his love for a few well-known Caribbean dishes and the importance of family traditions around the table and appreciation for the meal.
One of the things that we also enjoy is our food. I love my Jamaican patty. I love my jerk chicken. I love the wife loves the oxtail. I can't handle it, but wife loves oxtail. I love the curry goat. Our tradition of sitting at the table whenever we're going to have a meal. That's something that we instill in our daughters. And of basically, thanking our provider for us being able to have that meal.
I hope that you enjoyed hearing and reading those few examples of the stories that Sankofa has collected. And I wanted to give you a quick tutorial on how to access the interviews so that you can explore them on your own. What you're seeing here is the main list of interviews on our website, and the web address is at the top. You can click on the individual name. I'm going to walk you through Malcolm Sandifort's materials. So if you want to access his interview, you click on his name. This will take you to his interview page where you click on the Downloads tab at the top, and you can see that circled here on the screen. This takes you to the links you need to listen, watch, and read the interview. The blue arrow is pointing to the video link. The orange arrow is pointing you to a PDF of a transcript of the interview. Like Marva Gordon did, Malcolm Sandifort submitted photographs and additional materials with his interview. If you want to see those, you should click on this link next to his name on the main interview list. Here, supplemental material, supplemental photos, and it's circled in blue. This will take you to a similar page to the one that you saw for his interview. You should click on the Downloads tab again. Here you click on the PDF to view the supplemental materials. And you can now view the beautiful things that he shared with us. Please don't hesitate to reach out to Sankofa or the collection at the University of Florida and let us know if you're interested in participating, if you have any questions, or if you need some help accessing the interviews. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy the holiday season.